Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Stellar Studio Sessions. My name is Richie Mashiko.
I'm Malene Plato.
And today we're going to be talking about how to find influencers for your influencer marketing campaigns.
Yep.
Right, so we spent the last couple of days talking about what do good influencer marketing campaigns look like. What are good companies that are using influencer marketing the right way.
Differences between macro influencers, micro influencers.
Exactly. So today we want to talk about how do you find those influencers for your own marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
So I guess what we could start off is a couple key points of what to look for in influencers, right?
Yeah.
So I think the thing that most companies get wrong is looking for influencer product fit rather than audience product fit.
Yeah. Explain a little bit about what you mean with that.
Right. So I think the best example of this is an Instagram model, right, who's maybe posting a lot of pictures in bikinis and things like that. Right. So if a fragrance company wants to work with the Instagram model, that the influencer might really like that product, but I would bet that a lot of the followers that model has are men.
Yeah.
Who want to see that type of content. And I don't think a bunch of men are going to be buying fragrances or things like that, right?
Yeah.
So I think just be really mindful of who is your influencer's audience and make sure that audience matches up with your brand and what your product is, right? And then you could ask the influencer for that data.
Yeah.
Right. So there are ways to go about finding that to make sure that you're good.
Yeah, I mean, the followers are the ones who you want to buy your product. So, it has to be relevant for them.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
And another thing that you should be mindful of is influencer engagement rates. Right. So this tells you how passionate or engaged their audiences are with their content.
Yeah.
Right. So there are a lot of tools online like Social Blade, and there are a few others that we use that are that could just calculate the influencer engagement rate like super simple. You just type in their Instagram handle or the YouTube channel, and it'll come back with a percentage. Right on Instagram, what I look for if you're a micro influencer, right, that's at that 5,000 to 50,000 range. I look for at least a 10% engagement rate around there. That those audiences are really passionate.
Yeah,
and it's not uncommon to find influencers with engagement rates of upwards of 20-30%. You just gotta do some digging, right? And if you work with more of the macro influencers, then engagement rates above 1% I think are pretty good.
Yeah, because they have way more followers, but it's still a lot of people that are passionate if it's 1% out of several million followers.
Exactly. So now that we talked about a couple of criteria that you want to use when you're selecting your influencers, let's talk about how do you actually go in and find those influencers.
Yeah.
Right. So the first method that you could use if you're a larger brand or if you have the budget is to work with influencer marketing agencies. Right. So these agencies, it's basically a white glove service. They'll do everything for you. Right.
Yeah.
You just brief them. You just tell them what you want with what product you want to promote, what you're launching, etc. What are your goals? They'll find the influencers and they'll plan out the campaigns. And they just really do a good job of making sure that the influencer and your brand work really well together.
Yeah, it's a good match.
Exactly, right. Yeah. So the second way that you could do this is by signing up for influencer platforms. Right, some are pretty cheap, around $100 a month and above. But this is more of like you do it yourself. So these influencer platforms have huge databases of influencers, right? They have the large macro influencers, the mid-tier influencers, they even have micro influencers. So you just go in, you set the filters, engagement rate, the niche, follower count, etc. And you would just go in to these platforms and you would contact the influencers directly and through those platforms and then figure out how you want to work with those influencers.
Yeah. And then there are the smaller ones, like the nano or micro influencers that are not necessarily in that database or in an agency because they might not be as business oriented yet. And those people you will have to find just manually. Right. And I think when it comes to the smaller influencers, I think they're a little more critical in who they work with. So you have to establish a relationship with them. You have to follow them and actually show that you know their content, you like their content and why. So I think just sending one email to little like nano influencers probably not going to do it for you. You have to spend a little bit of time getting to know that influencer.
Right. It's not a transactional relationship.
Exactly.
It's building an actual relationship.
Yeah.
Right. You want these influencers to be ambassadors of your brand. You want them to be posting because they love your brand and they love your product.
Yeah.
Not just because you're paying them some money.
Exactly.
Right. And Malene hit on some influencers are not on these platforms, right? Or some of these platforms might specialize in a certain niche of influencers. So they might only do beauty influencers. But if you're looking for more fitness influencers, those influencers might not be on that platform.
Yeah.
So what you could do is you could go into the social media platforms individually and find the influencers manually, right? So on Instagram, how you would do that is you would go into the Discover page, right, and go into the search bar. What I would do, I would search up a relevant hashtag. So if I'm looking into the fitness niche, I might look up a hashtag like barbells, right? Like some type of weight or something like that, right? Then I would go on the top performing post of that hashtag. I would scroll through each post and click on the profiles and look at the Instagram influencers there. And if they fit, obviously keep a database of those influencers, reach out to them, build that relationship, right? And if you want to find more influencers, what's really great about Instagram is that they do a good job of grouping these influencers, right? Exactly. So what you could do is when you find an influencer that you like, you go on their profile and you could click a down arrow, right? It's a little down arrow. You click that button and then a bunch of accounts with the same type of engagement, the same niche, the same following size are going to show up. And then you could just click through those, right? And you could get lost down a rabbit hole. And within a couple hours, you could have 50, 60 influencers that you could reach out to work with your brand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then
on YouTube as well.
Right, on YouTube, right? YouTube also has recommended channels, right? So if you're on like a college vlogger YouTube channel, and when you go into the channel homepage, there's going to be a list of about 5 to 6 channels that are related.
Yeah.
But what I would do instead of doing that, I think the best strategy on YouTube is to look for the type of content that these YouTubers tend to post, and then search that content and then go through each video and then watch the video, go to that channel, and then reach out to those YouTubers individually, right? So a good example is if you're trying to promote a product to the college audience, then I would obviously look up college YouTubers, right? So a lot of the content that these college YouTubers produce, it's a day in the life of X student, and X being the university that they attend.
Yeah.
So I would type in a day in the life of a UCLA student, a day in the life of a USC student, and that list goes on and on. But then you could find all the YouTubers at each college, know their YouTube subscribers, know their engagement rates. You could find their Instagram accounts, right, and look at all their social presence and decide if those influencers, those YouTubers are people that you want to work with, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are some ways to find relevant influencers, big and small, depending on what your objective is and kind of what
your budget is.
Exactly.
Yep. And I think that's it for today.
Yeah. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be talking about more influencer marketing.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Stellar Studio Sessions. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to learn more about digital strategy, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.